Turning now to Mr. Genuis, joining us from his porch. Over to you, sir. It looks very comfortable.
Thank you, Chair. It's not that comfortable, but it is a beautiful day in Alberta and a beautiful riding of Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan. And I wanted to maybe just zero in on a quick sort of summary of the Green Slush Fund scandal that we're adjudicating today at the Public Accounts Committee. So you have a fund that is giving money to companies ostensibly related to green technology, but you have in reality board members handing out this money, giving it to companies that they own. You have a group of well-connected insiders who have been placed on this board who are saying, okay, let's give a bit of money to Bob's company over here, Bill's company over there. Oh, my company could use some money too. That is the essence of this scandal. In some cases, you had directors stepping out of the room for those votes that benefited their companies. But in some cases, you also had individuals voting on disbursements that directly benefited companies they own. And it's crazy to me and to many Canadians that this sort of thing could happen. But on the other hand, it is part of a pattern of corruption we're seeing under this government over the last 9 years. And the testimony we're hearing today is to suggest that maybe there's been some changes in the way this program operates. But what I'm getting here is that things have not changed substantially, that we are facing the same problems, the same potential problems of corruption and self-dealing. So I want to drill down on that. You have an interim board right now at the Green Slush Fund that is making decisions about where these disbursements go. Do any members of the current interim board have personal investments in companies that have received money, that could receive money in the future, that are seeking money? Do any current members of that interim board have those kinds of investments?
So, Mr. Chair, it's not a question I'm in any position to address directly. You have to address that to the individuals involved.
I'm sorry, you can't answer that. We're here adjudicating the question of conflict of interest of board members, and I'm asking you, do any of the current members of the interim board have issues of conflict of interest? Well, why can't you answer that, sir?
So, Mr. Chair, the interim board in no way reports to NRC, doesn't fall under any jurisdiction. We have our policy for conflict of interest. Obviously, the appointment process used for those interim board members is what applies to their appointments and any work that was done to review matters of conflict of interest. So I can't speak to it directly from the NRC.
So it's been 9 years. You have board members that are benefiting directly from decisions of the board, sometimes stepping out of the room when those are voted on, sometimes not. And we have, at present, a board where there may or may not be continuing issues of conflict of interest. That underlines the fact that despite all the discussion around this scandal, the government has not fundamentally changed what's happening. Now, the proposed future transition to these decisions being under the auspices of the National Research Council. This committee has studied the problem of public servants themselves owning companies or being involved in companies that have been benefited from government contracts. So can you tell us, sir, with respect to this future proposed transition to the National Research Council, do any National Resource Council employees, NRC, National Research Council employees have investments in companies that receive funding through this slush fund or that could receive that funding?
So, Mr. Chair, in regards to conflict of interest of our employees, it's explicitly clear that they are not to have investments in companies in which they're with whom they're working. And absolutely that's reviewed when they join us, and it's reviewed on an ongoing basis. And it's quite critical, obviously, given the matter of real conflict of interest that would put them in if they were to do so, let alone any involvement in the past that could have a concern around perceived conflict of interest.
Thank you. In the time I have left, do any ministers, political staff, PCO staff, PMO staff, anybody who could be involved in directing NRC's decisions, would any of them be able to have investments in companies that benefit from disbursements through this Green Slush Fund?
Mr. Chair, I think, as far as how I can answer it is the administration of program at the National Research Council is conducted by our staff, and it's under their professional judgment in the system.
But I think
we
the public would still like to know, and just a yes or no: would PCO employees, political staff in the minister's office, ministers, PMO employees be able to have these kinds of investments benefiting from the slush fund?
Mr. Chair, I can't really speak
yes
to any
no.
given employees that are not under my care or responsibility in their offices, but they don't have anything to do with our administration and decision-making on investments we make of public funds.
Thank you. Mr. Genuous, that is the time. You will have an opportunity again to revisit this. Turning now to Ms. Bradford. Ms. Bradford joining us virtually as well. You have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for being with us today. In his announcement, the minister said that this move would be done to increase oversight of over the SDTC. Have you reviewed the AG's report, and is this something that the NRC is equipped to do?
So, Mr. Chair, yes, I personally read the recommendations of the report, observations made, the response that's been made as well by SDTC to the report. Given the role we're going to play in the future in this transition, all of those observations are very important. And obviously, the structure of the foundation itself, which was commented on in prior testimony here, it doesn't apply in the case of the NRC. And so that's a very strong distinction in what existed before and what will exist after the transition. But I think the most important area that I'd observe is just the need for ongoing vigilance and solid practice and conflict of interest, even if it's a matter of perception. We have public servants that are professional, full-time working for us, so they're pretty busy, and this is their job to run the programs that are entrusted in their care, but also to make sure that everyone understands that they maintain and conduct themselves in a way that people couldn't question. I think that's very important to us.
Okay, so to that point, can you speak broadly to what the NRC's responsibilities would be overviewing the SDTC?
So, Mr. Chair, our responsibility is to deliver the benefits of the program that the government asks us to deliver. And so in this case, it would in some ways be very similar to the kind of programming we've worked with for over 75 years, which is support innovation and entrepreneurship. And that's a really solid part of the current activities of NRC IRAP, and very much something that's at the heart of what we do. I think the important addition here is also to pursue sustainable development technology for the benefit of those clean technologies for the environment for Canadians, and that's something that we work in that area. We have obviously a research goal and a strategic goal in climate and sustainability, but also we'd have expertise joining us from SDTC to help us adjudicate those files and obviously assess the benefits from a sustainable development point of view. So there'd be really two ways to look at a file and find those that have the most strong attributes that meet the terms and conditions of the program, and that we're happy to conduct business with on an ongoing basis. That'll be our goal, and deliver the benefits of the program that Canadians expect.
So what is expected then of the SDTC in turn as a result of the transition?
Mr. Chair, I think the transition is to conduct this on an expedited basis to bring some stability that's needed to the clean tech sector and the stakeholders in that sector so that we can get back to business. Second, I think it's also important that we take into account there's been employees at SDTC that have been involved in this and looking for certainty in terms of their own careers, and we look forward to making offers to them so they can join our team. And then third, I think the expectation is that the program can carry on with a high level of confidence that it's being done in a manner that's consistent with public objectives and scrutiny in terms of the way we conduct ourselves in delivering the program. So we've actually got a lot of work to do and a full mandate on a number of levels to respond to this situation, and we're happy to be there to do that for Canadians.
And what are the communication channels like between the SDTC's board and members and officials at NRC?
So, Mr. Chair, we have regular meetings with the interim board, particularly Marta Morgan. I think the board member who was here previously sort of talked about how the board has divided up their work. Ms. Morgan is responsible for working with us on the transition. We meet regularly, really to take account of all the lines of activity. There's a lot of work involved in bringing this program into the NRC, and we're well aligned and coordinated with them. And of course, we also await the work that's being done between the department and SDTC on the files and preparing them for transfer. And then we're doing the kinds of work you'd expect on systems and preparing ourselves from an HR point of view to be able to make offers to the employees and get this done as soon as possible.
Okay. The AG appeared at the industry committee last December and spoke to how the complaints of HR violations fell out of scope of the study. As we all know, the minister then tasked an independent third-party investigation into the reports of HR violations at SDTC. As a result of the transition, will SDTC's HR protocol be aligned with NRC's?
So, Mr. Chair, I think the most direct way to respond to that is to ensure everyone understands that the way personnel are managed, the way we work with our employees, that will apply to any employees that join us from SDTC. With all that that brings, creating a good workplace, a good environment for them to thrive and make their contribution. And obviously there's strong mechanisms as well where they have concerns that they can raise those through the various systems we have in place, up to and including if they have an issue where they want to disclose something that they're not comfortable with, they can do that inside the organization. That's well established. And obviously there's obviously a parliamentary role there for an officer to look into those questions if employees go to that office to ask for a review of any wrongdoing. So we have a strong regime that applies to human resources at the National Research Council, and that will apply to all the SDTC employees that join us.
Thank you.